Good evening and welcome to the regular council meeting for Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. We are beginning at 6:01 p.m. At this time, I'd like to confirm the agenda. Are there any items from councillors to add to the agenda? Deputy Mayor Peterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could add under FOIP section 24.1, the Wheatland Housing Management Board item with regards to changes on the board and regarding sponsorship.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from any of the councillors?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Deputy Mayor Peterson.
And I just have under 10.3, just a question to administration regarding a future discussion on gala events, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Anything from administration? Kara, anything from administration?
Sorry, my apologies, Your Worship. We're recommending that Council delete 9.4 Boards and Committees Bylaw, amending Bylaw 23-12.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you, Councillor Montgomery.
Yeah, I'll move the agenda as amended.
Thank you. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Not sure why I'm looking at the big screen, but we have no public hearing tonight. Jonathan or Kara, I guess, have we gotten any public comments on anything on the agenda tonight?
No, we have not, Your Worship.
Thank you. We don't have any delegations tonight, so we move to item 6, the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda presented that councillors would like to see removed and put into the regular agenda? Seeing none, I'm looking for Councillor Montgomery.
Thank you. We'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? And that motion is carried. We move now to item 9, bylaws. 9.1, land use bylaw, amending bylaw number 23-03, which is found on page 22. Good evening, Megan, and welcome. Nice to see you again.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Belated Happy New Year. So before you right now is first reading for bylaw 2303, an amendment to the land use bylaw in regards to CCANs. So we've taken the feedback from business owners and from council regarding the changes implemented last year, and we were able to safely decrease regulations and simultaneously cut red tape. So this bylaw is the culmination of that. So within this bylaw, we are suggesting a definition for temporary CCAN. We are deleting the ventilation section, decreasing the restrictions around storage of hazardous materials, and requiring CCANs be registered with the fire department. Short and sweet, that concludes my presentation, and I am here for any procedural questions if you have any.
Thank you. Are there any procedural questions? Deputy Mayor Peterson?
If you're ready for a motion, Your Worship.
I am.
I would move that council give first reading to bylaw number 23-03, being a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw number 14-11.
Thank you. All in favor? That motion is carried. Deputy Mayor Peterson.
And Your Worship, I would move that council direct administration to schedule a public hearing for bylaw number 23-03, March 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in these council chambers.
Thank you. Now that we have that motion on the floor, all in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Which brings us to item 9.2, land use bylaw, amending bylaw number 23-01. And we're ready to hear from you again.
I know. All right, so administration received an application to redesignate number 9 Bayside Place, the location of the old sea cleaning plant, to a direct control district based on the R3M medium density modest residential district. So the applicant is asking to redesignate the site to facilitate a 2-phased development, the first of which is a 60-unit affordable housing townhouse development. A subdivision application was submitted simultaneously and is with administration under review currently. So the applicant has made the following amendment request to the R3M district to remove the reference to the maximum building height of 3 stories in the district's purpose statement to add housing attached as a permitted use, to increase how far balconies may project from the building and how far balconies and landings may project into a rear yard setback, to increase the maximum building height from 9 meters to 14 meters, to put that into perspective, from 3 stories to 4, to decrease the landscaping requirement from 35% of the site area to 30%, to add site-specific definitions for front yard and rear yard, which will identify the property lines that are the front yard and which property lines are the rear yard, just for the purposes of establishing setbacks. And then for the housing attached, to change the requirement of that to have a firewall, to generalize it to a general fire separation in accordance with the Alberta Building Code. So this just widens the scope of the requirement. A firewall may still be required under building code, or they may be able to use another fire separation method. That does conclude the presentation, and I'm available for any procedural questions.
Thank you. My only question is the adjacent landowners, will that be houses that back onto that proposed site as well?
So when we circulate adjacent landowners, what we did for the subdivision, we'll duplicate it for the public hearing. So it'll be properties within 50 meters of the subject parcel. And then we're also including all of the industrial parcels within Bayside Place. And then we're capturing all of the condo units that are just north of, like on 8 Bayside Place.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to know. Councilors, Councillor Montgomery?
I will move that council give first reading to bylaw number 23-01, being a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw number 14-11.
Thank you for your motion. All in favor? Motion is carried.
And I will also move that council direct administration to schedule a public hearing for bylaw number 23-01 on March 15th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in council chambers.
Thank you very much. That was fast and well done. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you again, Megan. That brings us to item 9.3, 2023 Fees Bylaw Amendment, which is found on page 46 of your agenda package. Good evening, Liana.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. I'm back this evening to present to you our fees bylaw amendment to allow to have ceremonial, I want to say procedures, I've heard procedures so many times tonight, ceremonial event, not funerals, events in council chambers. So last week we did present to you the minor adjustment to Schedule K of adding $100 per hour to allow for allowing these events. This will cover our costs for the opening and closing of the building and the cleaning of council chambers. And if anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer your questions.
I just want to clarify that Councillor Wiley has been commenting about potentially my funeral being here as one of the ceremonies, so it's become this sad running joke. Any questions for Liana? Councillor Wiley? Any questions?
It would be beautiful, though.
Thank you.
It'd be very solemn.
Okay.
There will be no confetti.
No, just from my wife. All right, so councillors, if you have no questions, I'm looking for a motion for first reading. Deputy Mayor Peterson.
Your worship, I move that council give first reading to bylaw 23-10, being a bylaw to amend the 2023 fees bylaw number 22-27.
Thank you for your motion. All in favor? That motion is carried. Councillor Montgomery?
Thank you. I will move that council give second reading to bylaw number 23-10, being a bylaw to amend the 2023 fees bylaw number 22-27.
Thank you. And now that we have a motion for second reading, is there any further discussion, or is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Councillor Montgomery.
Thank you. I will move the council give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw number 23-10.
Thank you. All in favor? That motion is also carried.
And I will move third and final reading of bylaw number 23-10.
Thank you. You've all heard the motion. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Which brings us to
Thank you.
Thank you, Leanna. That was very quick and efficient. Item 10, councillor information inquiries. 10.1, questions between councillors and council statements. Deputy Mayor Peterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know that councillors and our mayor and our CAO often get invited to gala events throughout the community throughout the year. And I know that at this point in time, we don't have a fulsome policy that guides us in this as to what would happen. And my only question today is, or an ask, I guess, is that that this could come back to council so that we could discuss and have direction. I'm thinking about something where a mayor would be certainly encouraged to go at the cost of community as a representative of the town to any gala to which he was invited and had time to attend. And that councillors have a limited capacity, one a year or something that they could choose, as well as, you know, so that's 6 more galas that could be attended representative to the town, something along that line. I don't know how things are done in other communities, but I think it would be good to have, to do 2 things, to be able to support our community as much as we possibly can, but to do it in a way that's mindful and judicious of taxpayer funds. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you for that. So administration, you're comfortable with what has been presented?
Yes, through the chair. So we've definitely seen a pickup in galas now that we're out of the pandemic here, and it is on our radar and our work plan to come up with a policy for galas here.
Thank you. Any other questions between councillors or statements? Seeing none, then we'll move on to 10.2, boards and committee reports. Anything tonight? 10.3, question and answer period. 10.4, administrative inquiries. I don't think we have any. And 10.5, we have no notices of motion tonight. And the correspondence item has been passed in our consent agenda. So at this time, we're looking for a motion to go in camera. Deputy Mayor Peterson.
Your Worship, I would move that council go in camera at 6:14 p.m.
Thank you. All in favor? And that motion is carried.